The New England Patriots got the guy everyone wanted. Let's talk about it. My name is Aaron on the daily Patriots content. Don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment below. So if you have watched the show Forged in Foxborough, it's a sweet show available on YouTube. Literally, you can watch this first episode from this link right here on Bleacher Report. But what's interesting is you get a backstage, back scene, behind the scenes. There we go, Aaron. Behind the scenes look at the New England Patriots as Mike Vrabel came in, introduced himself to the team, talked to the team, which I love. We've talked about that in a previous episode where he essentially comes in and talks about accountability. I love it. I feel like you have to have someone in your life willing to tell you that. Like he uses the example of his fifth grade teacher telling him to write accountability and, essentially owning up to what you did. Owning up to the mistakes you made, whatever that might be. And so I think that is awesome that he's like, I don't remember any math. I don't remember anything else, but I remember that. Get someone in your life that's going to keep you accountable to do what you know you're capable of doing and beyond. Anyways, New England Patriots in this episode of Forged by Foxborough, they talk about TreVeyon Henderson and the whole situation around that pick, second round, 38th pick. Now, first of all, the Chicago Bears call him up. You can see in the video they're talking to Elliott Wolf. Elliott Wolf's on the phone. And I'll say this, watching this so far, I like the dynamic between Elliott Wolf, Ryan Cowden, and Mike Vrabel. It makes you realize another reason, okay, Elliott Wolf, I feel like, is a likable guy. It seems like he fits in well. What are your takes on that from watching this episode? Yay or nay? You might disagree. That's totally fine. What do you think? Again, I feel like they're comfortable with each other. It's going well. And obviously this draft class, a lot of people, especially in the media, are saying one of the best in the NFL, master class, going from 9 picks to 11 picks, as well, getting a lot of weapons on both sides of the ball and also bolstering the offensive line and you could say as well the defensive line. So anyways, TreVeyon Henderson, Elliott Wolf, talking with the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears says, listen, we will give you, we'll switch picks. You can take our very next pick, and then from there, we'll give you the 7th round pick. The New England Patriots, Elliott Wolf, they said no. And the Chicago Bears, a beat writer for the Bears, talked about even before how the Bears really liked TreVeyon Henderson and wanted to essentially get an upgrade from DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift, ever since he's been in the league, when he started with the Detroit Lions, then he went to the Eagles, and then from the Eagles to the Bears, he's had that spark and had that potential, but I feel like he's never truly lived up to his hype that he had coming out of Georgia. Now, Chicago Bears, listen, we want to get weapons around Caleb Williams. Smart move. Get an offensive line first. But anyways, they end up, wanting to get TreVeyon Henderson. Elliott Wolf says, nope, we're not going to go with that. And then the second call after that, and this is believed to be the Houston Texans, but the Houston Texans called up. Again, I'm not sure, not 100%. Maybe they'll comment on it someday. But they wanted 38 for pick 58, 79, and then a third rounder in addition to a 2025 third rounder. So again, when you read that, I thought it was the 2026. It's interesting. I don't know. Anyways, beside the point, looking at that, an interesting haul. So you're basically saying, in Ryan Cowden in this whole exchange says, listen, are the next, is there someone on our list, that next 20, because that was 20 picks, is there someone on our list that we're willing to wait and make this trade, get another additional 2 picks on top of, pick 58 and, make this move with whatever team this is? And they basically all agreed, no, TreVeyon Hendy or Hender, Hendo, whatever you want to call him, is worth this pick. So they end up going with TreVeyon Henderson. They're all excited. And that goes to show, very simple, guys. That goes to show how badly, one, other teams wanted TreVeyon Henderson. 2, how much the New England Patriots coveted getting TreVeyon Henderson at number 38. I thought of him in Judkins out of Ohio State as well. I thought Henderson would have gone first. Judkins ended up going to the Cleveland Browns. But what's incredibly interesting is the Patriots saying, nope, we want him. Let's pull the trigger. We're not making the trade. And so even if they didn't want him, and then they have all these other opportunities, they would have definitely taken the opportunity for sure. I would assume at least at minimum take the opportunity with the Bears where you get another 7th and you literally drop back a spot. And so great move by the Patriots. This makes me believe they have obviously second round pick, 38th pick overall, close to the first round. So that's an early second round pick. They have a lot of high expectations for Travion Henderson, Josh McDaniels. I wish he would have been more in the conversation in the room on the Forged in Foxborough episode, but it is what it is. But it shows how bad they wanted him. And I think that they think he can easily surpass Ramondre Stevenson at that RB number 1. So we will see moving forward, but it's just a really cool when you see the behind the scenes, the backstage, kind of what's going on, how the hot dogs are made or how the sausage is made. That's a weird analogy. I don't know why I went with it, but again, what do you think about the whole exchange? Would have you taken the picks and gone a different direction? What do you think? Again, I think it's smart they went with Travion Henderson. I think he not only is he a great player, I think he's a great leader. So moving forward, smart move. I love to see it. Now, next up, talking about, and we are going to be talking about this a lot as we go into training camp, as we go into the preseason, and ultimately into game 1 against Las Vegas. But we look specifically at defense at the safety position, and you have a lot of safeties out there that have potential and really contributed last year to the Patriots organization. Especially remember, Duggar had some injury issues, and then you had Jabril Peppers that was dealing with kind of his whole legal matter and all these different things. So Hawkins came in, Pettis came in, Mapu came in, and they helped, and did a good job last year where they could, filling in for these roles. And so now you have someone like Craig Woodson who comes in out of Cal, and a lot of people think, listen, that's a 4th round pick. Are you going to throw the 4th round pick? Do you draft someone in the 4th round intending to throw them on the practice squad? I don't think so. I do not think so. So the question becomes, what are they doing here at safety? What are the moves they're going to make moving forward? And obviously, I don't know yet. We need to go into training camp and look into that stuff. But I think it's something that we all need to keep on our radar, because there's a lot of good guys who play safety on this Patriots team that are on this roster right now. I think when it comes down to it, it's you have that situation with Peppers. Who's to say that doesn't happen again? That's one. But two, obviously, I think they think Craig Woodson can compete with some of these guys that were second string safeties on this team. Obviously, they're not going to draft someone that, Aaron, you idiot. They're not going to draft someone they don't believe, they don't think is not going to be able to make the 53-man roster. But so the bigger question in itself is, what players aren't going to make the roster then? What is it going to look like at the safety position? And I don't think that's the only position we've talked about. Obviously, we've talked about wide receiver as well. That's going to be incredibly interesting to see how they move players around, who they end up keeping, because a lot of people say, listen, there's young talent from last year. Don't count it against them because they had a bad coaching staff and all these different things. True, I'm not going to disagree with that. The offensive line, there's a ton of offensive linemen currently on this roster right now. What is that going to look like? What are the shakeups going to look like? And you have to imagine players that have been picked up, players that were drafted maybe in the later rounds, have a good chance of making a practice squad, not necessarily the team, but it depends. It's all dependent on the position. All dependent on the position. Because again, we know there's undrafted free agents that, hey, in all reality, they have a good chance of making this 53-man roster based on how Josh McDaniels runs his offense or Terrell Williams runs his defense. And so it's going to be interesting moving forward to see. So of those position groups, my big question is this: what do you think is going to be the biggest battle and you are most interested in watching? Again, out of all the position groups, What do you think is going to be the biggest battle and the most interesting watching? Is that going to be running backs? That's going to be wide receivers? That's going to be safety, offensive line? What do you think? Comment below. Would love to hear from you. Again, have a great day. My name is Aaron. We'll talk later. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Peace.